A lot of people think, oh, Buckley, you pick on Americans all the time because you're Canadian, and you never talk shit about Canadians because you'd never shit on your own country. Well, besides all those times I have made fun of Canadians. But fact is, I generally don't talk about Canadians because I figure Americans won't care. And Americans are my biggest audience by far. But we got our fair share of morons too. And the pandemic has brought a lot of them out of the igloos, forests, and donut shops and out in the open. Canada's got its own deniers, anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, and people who just think they're above the rules. We'll start with that last one first. Dr. Paul Woods, CEO of the London Health Sciences Centre. So he's effectively responsible for 2 hospitals in an area that serves about 500,000 people. Bet that's a big deal in the middle of a pandemic? Well, it better be. We pay him over $500,000 a year for it. The Canadian border is closed to all non-essential travel. So what's he do? Travels to the US 5 times in 2020 to see his family. How, when the border's closed? He's got a US green card. So apparently, even though non-essential travel is closed, the border guards can't turn away a citizen. So he drives to the border, says, I have a green card, let me in. They do. He comes back, goes, I'm a Canadian citizen, let me in. Nothing they can do. Then, he's apparently got a quarantine for 2 weeks each time. Whether he does or not, who the fuck knows, but if he does, that's 10 weeks just of quarantining, on top of probably a minimum of 5 weeks vacation. Now, maybe this would be less of a big deal, but at one point, a bunch of nurses at his hospitals test positive for COVID, and he blames them. And then, reportedly orders an investigation into a rumored potluck that never happened. Woods says nurses should set themselves to a higher standard when it comes to living and modeling public health guidelines both inside and outside our workplace. Nurses should. CEOs don't have to, I guess. The nurses who work in hospitals which have COVID cases, yeah, they probably all got it from some Saturday night scissor session. Couldn't have possibly got it in the duty of their job. And then, he has the audacity to go to Florida, goddamn COVID capital of the US, to work on his fucking tan. Anyway, he got fired, and now he's suing for wrongful dismissal. And he'll probably win, because he didn't technically break any rules or laws, he just set a fucking horrible example as the guy in charge of hospitals. Hey, don't talk in the break room with your mask off. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to see my family for Christmas, even though they said not to. Now, Paul Woods claims he was responsible, only came into contact with his family, self-isolated after each trip, but one nurse certainly can't say the same, and in fact wouldn't say the same, because that would be against her beliefs. Also from London, in fact all 3 of these examples are from my hometown, which makes me think I should stop drinking the tap water or something, is Kristen Nagel, who, despite having no dog in the fight, traveled to Washington, D.C. on January 6th for the Capitol riot to give an on-the-ground kind of perspective of, like, what actually happened. We get a lot of these in Canada, too. These Trump supporters who are just parroting what they see through Facebook memes and shit. Like a kid watching his big brother smoke, and then they start smoking as a result. She was placed on unpaid leave pending an investigation. This woman also made headlines in November when she organized a freedom rally with a bunch of anti-maskers and people against social distancing, and has posted videos complaining about businesses that denied her entry for refusing to wear a mask. And of course, claims she's exempt. It should be noted that her job as a nurse is to work with prematurely born infants. You better fucking be wearing a mask at work. In fact, I guarantee she has to wear one at work. No exemptions at the fucking hospital. You gotta wear one for 8 hours a day in a hospital full of sick people, but you're exempt from wearing one walking to a restaurant for 2 minutes to pick up food. Shut the fuck up. The video she made, of course, is made while driving. Classic meme behavior. Looking at the camera half the time, so clearly she's a big advocate of safety. Glad she's in charge of whether babies live or die. And my last one, well, at least learned a lesson the hard way, but we'll get to that. Jonathan O'Hagan, a personal trainer from London, travels to the Dominican. Again, how are these people traveling? Because there's no official flight travel ban. The only stoppage is by car at the physical border. You can fly anywhere still right now. So, Johnny Boy goes to the Dominican. He says, "It's really hard after 1 year to maintain your faith in something that you can't see, smell, or touch." Guess he's not religious then, since that's the whole idea behind faith. Anyway, while there, he starts feeling like he's got the flu. His lungs collapse, and he ends up in a Punta Cana hospital. He said he wanted to be a cautionary tale, except the US has about 421,000 cautionary tales already. This is the equivalent of being told your whole life, "Don't stick a fork in a power outlet, you're gonna get shocked." And then he sticks a fork in a power outlet, gets shocked, and goes, "Holy shit, it's real! Everybody, learn from my mistake!" Yes, it's real. We didn't need you to tell us. He figured because he was in shape, even if he got sick, it wouldn't affect him. Whoops. But I want to go back to this "a year's a long time" shit. It really isn't. Now, I might have some sympathy if it was like some 70-year-old who had been traveling to different countries their whole life. They had a plan to see every country in the world before they die, and COVID's really derailed those plans. I mean, not really sympathy. Oh, wow, you're rich and you just fly everywhere. Whatever. But I got no sympathy for someone in their 20s or 30s or whatever who takes the pumpkin spice latte of fucking vacations. Oh, a resort in the Dominican. How fucking exotic. You and 1,000 other white people sitting at a pool getting drunk 100 feet from the actual ocean. In a now deleted Facebook post, he also had the balls to say, "Our government is to blame." You're to blame, fuckface. The government said, "Don't travel." You did. Just because Justin Trudeau didn't stop you at the gate personally, I guess he was too busy trying to stop his wife from giving COVID to Idris Elba again. His belief apparently is that it's confusing that the airports are open, but they're told they shouldn't travel. Is the law about speeding confusing? That the speed limit is 60 kilometers an hour on main roads here, but your car can go 160 kilometers an hour? Your Honor, I shouldn't be guilty of murder. The government says not to, but the knife went right into his heart with pretty minimal effort. Why'd the government allow knives to be so sharp that they can go into a person if they're not supposed to be used that way? So there you go. 3 Canadians that are just as dumb, or perhaps dumber, than Americans that I've made fun of in videos over the years. Yeah, bud, I can do what I want. I'm a fucking CEO, bud. I'm a nurse and I don't believe in masks, eh? Ah, fuck, bud. The fucking government shouldn't have let me travel, and now I got the fucking COVID even though I lift weights. If a Canadian ever tries to claim they're smarter than Americans just because they were born in the Great White North, just mention any of these 3. That should shut them up right quick, bud.